Hello and welcome to Mind Gourmet. My name is Nina Kaiser. I'm the co-founder of Mind Gourmet and, as always, your host today. My today's guest is Icelandic thought leader Rúna Magnus. She is the founder of a transformational group of leaders called the Changemakers, the creator of the No More Boxes movement, and she's the co-author of the soon-to-be-published book, The Story of Boxes, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Welcome, Rúna. Thank you for being my guest. I feel honored.
Oh, I am so excited to be with you, Nina. And I have to give you a compliment. I love how you say my name. There are not many people that can roll their R's. Like there's, I'm more used to people outside of Iceland saying Rúna rather than Rúna, which is the way that the original pronunciation is. So thank you. I feel special.
I think on that thing, Bavarian, like that's the southern part of Germany, and its language and dialect are similar because there are many parts in Germany where people do not roll the R, but we do.
Oh, okay, good. One more thing that we have in common.
That's true. And so what I wanted to share with our audience is that you and I first met through the introduction of a mutual friend. And I think these synchronicities are often just the best things in life because I resonate a lot with you and your work, and I feel every time very inspired in your presence. And I'm always learning something new from you, and I'm sure this is going to happen also today. So with this said, would you tell us a little more about who you are, who you used to be, and how you became who you are today?
Oh my God, that is such a big question. I'm going to give you as short answer as I possibly can so that I'm not boring people. If I would just describe myself, who am I? I think I can say I'm a creative doer. I'm an entrepreneur. I have this belief in my heart that each and every one of us on this planet is unique and has a unique gift. And I feel it is, I felt for some time that my purpose has been to help people to discover what they're not their purposes, but really who they are and what they're here to do on this planet, and how they can use their skills, their knowledge, their experience, their story. I call it their X factor, in a way that it's both serving them and serving others. And I've been doing that consistently since I started my second period in my life, I can say, because before I was doing that, I was running a wholesale company that originally my mom founded, and I'm so proud of her because I think back, she was 53 years old at the time when she started her business and had no background at all.
Whoa.
And I just think about, she's a big role model for me because she kind of like at that time in her life, she felt she needed to have the courage to step up her own game, to leave the box that was making her feel afraid to do things, but she really went into it and started her own business. I later came into that business, and even later in that I bought the business from her and my dad, and was running that for a couple of years before I sold it and started. And when I sold it was back in 2006. Can you believe it, Nina? That was the first time in my life that I gave myself the space to think about, what do I want? Who am I really?
Yeah.
And at that time, I never wanted to look at myself as being a single mom, but I always said I was an independent mom with 2 kids, and living with a beautiful partner, and just that was the time when I really discovered that there were more in me than I had seen before. And if I could find more in me, I knew that there was more in you, and there was more in everyone that is listening to this and watching this. And for so many different reasons, however life has whatever curveballs life has shown us, we I think it's important to remember that every single one of us have something that most likely, because it's so natural to us, we're not seeing it. Just not seeing it. And that's the thing that really makes me, want to get up excited every morning to see what is this day going to, what excitement is this day going to give me back? What sort of a people am I going to be connecting with and having conversations with, and hopefully helping as well, creating collaborations with, and all of those things that I have happened to be able to do on every single day. And that is exciting. And that makes me feel really both happy and grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's both part of your and my work that we get this, that we get the pleasure to have these conversations and to meet these people, and sometimes to be the missing link and be able to make an introduction or find something that might facilitate and help. And this is so beautiful. But I would like to go back to this period in your life where you were still in your wholesale business, but you started feeling the change approach. In my case, it was a big unsatisfaction, actually, and a resistance to what I have been doing before as an elementary teacher. So I am so interested and also fascinated by the phenomenon of change, because often I feel like we only look at what happens on the outside, and sometimes also on the inside, like how we feel. But change itself it's so interesting. So how did change approach you? How did you experience it, like before it actually happened, and when you implemented it somehow, and also afterwards, now looking back on these changes?
Yeah, really good question. You see, when I was running, after I bought the wholesale company from my parents, I was really loving the fact that I had something in my hands that I could build. I could create a wholesale business that was unique, and that I could be doing it in my own creative way, which I'm happy to say that the business became, I think, one of the unique businesses in the wholesale industry, at least on this island. And I loved it. I loved being able to do things in a different way, to serve my clients, to have connections with people all over the world who were my suppliers, and all of those things that I was doing at the time. And I remembered I had told myself, the moment, Runa, you don't find yourself excited about this job or this work that you're doing, that's a signal that you're going to quit. And off I went. I was doing things, and I was really not in the being mode. I was in the doing mode all the time. I remember those days when I was up before 6 a.m, going to the gym so that I could be back at home, so that I could take care of my kids before they went to school, and then going to work, and then working from maybe 8 till 7, even sometimes 8 at night, to be back to give kids the food, all of those things. And I was just basically really on a fast track. I remember because I wanted to spend as much time as I possibly could with my two kids. I would plan things in a way that when I think back, I was thinking, oh, gosh, what was I thinking? I mean, I would go have I would fly and take early morning flights to maybe Denmark, where one of my biggest supplier was. In the morning, I would go on morning flight for Denmark. I would do meetings all day in Denmark. I would take the evening flight back home to be back in bed about 24 hours after I left my bed, just so that I didn't have to spend time away from my kids. And I would do crazy things like this. And so I was thinking I was really happy and thinking, and in a way, yes, I was, but I was really not in the moment and not giving myself the space to think about, is this sustainable? Am I sustainable in this way? So what happened then was there was a guy who approached me, another business owner who had another wholesale in a similar business that I was in. And he approached me and he said, Rúna, I've been watching what you've been doing. And I think if we merge our two businesses together, that will be a brilliant business. And he said, I see you as the CEO for this. I'm fine to be the CFO. And it was so interesting when I think back to our conversation. When he approached me, first my ego went, "Ooh, wow, I'm special. They're noticing me. Okay, that's really interesting. So yeah, I could be the CEO of this huge business. Oh my God, isn't that interesting?" And I could really, when I think back, I could really see that my ego was just blossoming at the time. And then something really happened as I started to look into that picture that now was being painted in front of me. I noticed my passion for what I was doing was absolutely not there.
Oh,
I just basically noticed that going into that, looking at what would need to be done in order for this to become a reality, did not give me that tingle in my tummy. It might have been in my ego, but not in my tummy. And I rejected that offer, but that offer may change something inside of me, because then I noticed I wasn't having as much fun as I had. And I noticed it was time for me to change and to actually follow what I've already said to myself and to others. I'm gonna stop the moment that I'm not happy about this. To be honest, I think I was for several years not really in line now that I, thinking back.
And it needs time to notice it also.
It needs time to notice it, and something needs to happen.
Yeah.
So that's a set space, because if you not have the space to think and to observe, then you are in a box that is, I call it boxes today. You're in a box that is no longer serving you.
Yeah.
And so this made me take the steps to say, okay, maybe I can sell my business. And I knew at the time I could, because prior to this, I had several offers to buy my business, and I always rejected them. But this thing really made me think. And to cut the long story short, probably within 4 or 5 months, I was out of my business. I was out.
Whoa, that's fast.
That's fast, yeah. And I think that's my life. I always done things in a fast way. And like I said before, that was the time when I decided, okay, there was a clause in my contract when I sold my business that I was not allowed to compete with the new owners in any way. So that means I was not allowed to do what I knew what to do. That really gave me another space and another opportunity to explore. Okay, I'm not allowed to do what I knew and I've been doing for 19 years. What am I doing then? And that led me to look at, who am I? Who are you really, Rúna? What have you always been passionate about? What are the things that you always talk about? and you said to yourself, oh, if only I had time to do more of this or more of that, I would do it. All these thoughts that I think everyone can relate to at one point or another in your life, but you kind of like go, poops, nope, not time for that, poop, poop, poop. But this time I had the space, and I started to look for this, and I started to follow the breadcrumbs that started to appear. And one of the ideas that popped up in my mind was, few years before I sold my business, I had attended a conference, a huge conference for women business leaders, women leaders in politics, and leaders in the corporate world. And it was 1,000 women coming together in one space in Seoul, Korea. And this was my very first time that I attended a conference in this level. And I was flying all the way from Iceland to Seoul, Korea. It's the other way of the other part of the globe. And I remembered when I was there, at that time as a wholesaler, there was an exhibition area where women could showcase their products, their services, and connect and all of those things. And this was back in 2005, I think it was 4 or 5. And I remembered when I was looking at their products and service, and I was thinking, maybe I can buy something here for my wholesale and support another woman who had a business. But I noticed, number one, very few of them actually at that time had anything to do with technology. Very few of them actually had an email. Can you believe it?
No, almost not.
Yeah, exactly. And very few of them had websites. There was still, they were coming in, but not website where you could go and purchase from, or have, technology has really changed in those days. And I also noticed that for some reason, the organizer of this conference, the purpose of the conference was to connect women worldwide and to empower women and all of those things that they had on their tagline. They're for some reason, they did not want to share any information about anyone who was attending. Meaning, it was really difficult to use my time there. I wanted to use in a very more skillful way. I wanted to be able to connect to those who were maybe manufacturers, and I went, afterwards, the conference on for a couple of days, and I felt, wow, this is so inefficient. You're getting people to come over all over the globe, even set up show exhibitions, and you're not offering that as a possibility for whatever reason that is. I'm not going to judge that, but I just thought it was not really efficient. I think we could do things more efficiently. And I remember thinking at the time, wow, wouldn't it be nice if there was a online platform where women could actually connect together. They could promote themselves, their businesses, and they could create their own business opportunities between the two of them. And this could be done in they could support each other. So this idea came up again now that I had space to do something, and I decided to go with it. And I created a platform called Connected Women, which was a platform set up in a similar time that Facebook was setting up. So I guess that I was a little bit ahead of time, because despite the fact that women worldwide from actually over 75 countries were signing up and creating their profiles, I quickly noticed a very small part of them had any idea how to promote themselves or how to connect with another woman from another country. So the platform was there, but I felt that there was something missing, a missing link on how for them to actually utilize it. And that led me to branding, because I thought, They really can't do this. And I still want to be able to help them. In the middle of all of this, the economic crash occurred, and Iceland really went badly in that. Those are the autumn days of 2008, which left me going a little bit out in the world of, okay, so how am I going to run my business now that my clients are basically here in Iceland? They're broke, and I need to figure out how can I be of service in this situation that we are in. So I took on several tasks inside of Iceland. One of them was I was one of the leaders for a setup. We set up a national assembly where we got 1,500 people from all over the island coming together for a whole day.
Whoa.
Where Icelanders came together, and I'm talking about, I still get goosebumps when I think about this. We're talking about people in the political world, people who were, the farmers, the cleaning lady, the sales guy, you can go on and on. They were all coming there together. They were specially picked to come for one day, and collectively we started to figure out, who are we as a nation? Because at the time we were really broken. And what are our values as a nation? What is it that we want to be known for as a nation? What are the things that we want to see in our educational system, in our expert system, in our internal system, everything? And so I was one of the leaders in that during that day. And as this work and figuring out who we were as a nation really became the cornerstone of my next phase in life, personal branding, knowing your X factor. That day we were, as a nation, finding out our X factor as a nation. And one of the things that we started to look at and value that we didn't value before was the fact that Iceland is a unique country. We have the nature that is unique. Yes. We have our history, which is unique. More than half of Icelanders, I probably think they're much more than half of us, believe in elves and trolls. That's unique.
Yes.
And so really what we were doing, we were looking at who are we and what is special about us. Even that accent that you're listening to right now, Nina, that's unique.
True.
Yeah. So all of these things, when we started to look at that, that's how the whole process of rebranding Iceland, looking at that uniqueness and starting to showcase what is unique about us. And there was a whole setup called Inspired by Iceland that really today that whole thing was a big part of the transformation that Iceland went through and turned our economy around. For centuries, fisheries had been our main industry, and in only a couple of years, the tourist industry became our main industry. So this proves to me that when you start as an individual, when we as an individual start to look inside and we start to give ourselves the space to look at who are we, who am I, what are the things that I love to do and I just take for granted. And often what we love to do, we have also told ourselves that because we love to do that, that's not going to give us the livelihood that we want. So we are in a box saying, oh, if I love something, then I have to do that after work hours. And which is a really limiting box, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When you can actually do both, you can work on the things that you love to do and get paid for it.
Right. Yes. And I think
So
there's this nice box called Life is Hard. And so
yeah,
if you earn money with what you love to do, life isn't hard anymore.
well, and you know what? Life, it depends on really, it's interesting that you use hard. I would use challenging. And I think that it can, I'm not taking away that life can be hard. That's not what I want to say. What I want to say is more, I think it's important for us to embrace both the good times and the bad times, because if we didn't have the bad times, we wouldn't appreciate the good times, would we?
Yeah, and we couldn't create desires that we want to make.
Yeah,
in our lives.
both is really needed, and there's a gift in both moments. So I think it's important to look at it that way, and even be kinder to ourselves when we're going through the challenging times. We often forget that, and we're really hard on ourselves. Yeah. So, so this is really how I became the personal branding nerd, and then awarded nerd. and that has turned into the change makers, and what I'm doing today, empowering humans to be the change that they want to see in their world.
Yeah, and before we dive into that, let's go back one more time to the phenomenon of change. And I would like to throw a few things over to you and hear what's your experience with it. One, of course, change often comes from something we desire or something that we don't like anymore. And as soon as we start moving into the direction we decided to, there's such an interesting phenomenon, at least for me, and it's a big resistance to the change I actually desire myself. And sometimes I think it has to do with the fear of the unknown, because when we decide to change, even though we have a direction, we actually don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And the other thing is that at least in my life, I seem to learn that it does not happen to change one thing in our lives, like a career. Because if you make one change, it ripples out in all the areas of your life. Suddenly relationships change. That's not always pleasant. Suddenly you find yourself in different places. And so change is beautiful, and change is actually challenging. What's your take on this?
Oh yeah, it absolutely is. I like to I'm a big fan of the process that Janet Atwood and Chris Atwood talk about in the passion test. I'm a passion test facilitator and a passion test for business facilitators, and they talk about three things when you are following your passions. The three things are intention, setting an intention into what you want to see in your life and what you want to have more of in your life. Attention, paying attention to those things. So opening up for all the possibilities out there that are eventually what you want to see, have more of in your life. And finally, and that I think is the most challenging thing, at least for me, and that is the no tension, letting go, not controlling.
Yeah.
So what I like to do, and I use that a lot with my clients, is to have clear vision where you want to go and what is it that you want to, what is the change that you want to see in your world. and have a clarity for that and why that is important for you, because that's where your emotion starts to tick in and your automatic compass starts to work with you. So you're putting the attention on that. But it's really important to, if you were too rigid, it's supposed to be like this, you know, this one is going to say yes to me, and then that one is going to say yes to me. And if this one does say no to me, then everything is ruined. In the meantime, you're not paying attention to all the things that are coming your way.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, you feel, oh, this is useless. I tried it and it's useless. I can't do this. You know, it's not happening the way that it's supposed to happen. That's the trick. So letting go and being in that state of mind where, woof, I wonder what exciting is going to happen to me today. What adventure am I going to get into? Keeping yourself with that high vibrancy and open and looking at every single thing that are coming your way as a little nugget, something that you should maybe, instead of ignoring it, pay a little attention. I love what Wayne Dyer says in his book. He talks about even paying attention to, if you see a bus driving past you, and there's maybe it could be a phone number being advertised on the bus. What is that phone number telling you? You know, basically just being aware and noticing what's going on and with that state of mind that there is so much possibilities around me, and it's okay. I'm on this journey, and it is okay. While I'm on this journey, it's okay to do things that are not gonna maybe give me exactly what I wanted it to be, but it's gonna give me something that is gonna lead me to the results that I'm looking for. And another thing that I also think is really important, and I learned that from my mentor and my coach, Marcia Martin. She said, the universe is always going to show you what you need to overcome in order to make your dream come true.
Yeah, that's a beautiful perspective.
Yeah. And with that mindset, then looking at it, when you find yourself that life is throwing you another curveball, and when you have the mindset, oh really, so I needed to learn this thing as well in order for me to go to the place where I want to be. So it's just another learning set. It's another thing that you need to learn, and going through it with okay, yeah, I'll learn that, yeah, or okay, I'm gonna skip this one and see what next thing comes. You know, it's just another thing. And I'm not going to say this is easy and that you can just do this like this and everything will be fine and dandy. It's a journey. Hey, come on. No, if you have ever bought yourself a trip to some of the to a vacation, you are never ever told in the advertisements all the time it's going to take you to go through, check through security, or the time that it's going to take you to go to the airport, or sitting in a tight airplane because you happen to choose the cheapest seat or whatever. You know, they're not going to tell you that, are they? No, they're going to show you the palm trees.
Yeah.
And same thing is with life. You know, you're looking at the palm trees and it's going to be all sorts of things happening on the way.
Yeah. And I think one thing that you said is so important, and that is paying attention and being in the moment, because change in some way brings with it that we are like a little bit in a middle point between the past and the future. And often it's tempting to either compare where we are to the past and say, oh, this is not going to work, or see, I cannot make it happen, or we are so focused on the future and how we want this outcome, like you said it, that basically we don't see all the things and those synchronicities, big or small, that are happening right here, right now. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think too, being aware, being right here, right now, present, and paying attention is so important. And thinking back to when you spoke about the bigger scale of change, like for a nation or a country, I was thinking about this beautiful quote that you have on your website, and it's, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world," by Gandhi. And I would like to talk a little bit about this, because even though I think the personal development movement is very big in changing for ourselves and being our visions, there's still this belief that on a bigger scale, like environmental, nationwide, whatever, we are actually so small that we cannot make a difference. And I think what you say, like change comes from the inside out, is so important. So
well,
what would you say?
What would I say about the big change, like environment or, well, I can tell you this thing.
Well, I mean that it starts within us in some way. And
well, and I think the tendency is for many of us is to wait, what is the government going to do? What is the head of the business going to do? What is, what is waiting for, I think most people don't even know what they're waiting for, but they're waiting for someone else to come in and to fix things. And the fix could be in so many different ways. The fix could be in the form of a pill, and then everything is supposed to be okay. Or the fix should be that, scratch my back, or the fix could, they're just waiting for some quick fix. And they're always waiting for the fix is supposed to happen somewhere outside of them. So the fix is when I have my new, my new dress. The fix is when I get engaged. The fix is when I get married. The fix is when I get that job. The fix is when I have my children. And there's always next, oh, it's going to be when this thing. Oh, it's going to be when that thing. Oh, it's going to be, and then you blame everybody except yourself when it doesn't happen. Because oh, such and such didn't do as he or she said that they were going to do, and that made me miserable. And you're just taking away your powers when you do that. It's just, you go, oh gosh, you're just allowing things to happen that way. Not that it doesn't, I haven't said this in one point or another in my life, but gosh, when I've fallen into that trap, it makes me so powerless when I do that. And when I can reverse that and look at myself and look at my own reactions to things and how I have reacted automatically to things that really didn't make any sense when I think about it, then I can start to learn from it, and I can learn from my own reactions and reactions, because that's basically what it is. Change happens from inside. I truly believe in that. And it is when you, my big question is to look at what are the things that you want to see changed in your world. Now, we ask this question in the when we are doing the No More Boxes, in the No More Boxes movement and in the No More Boxes breakfast clubs. What are the changes that you want to see in your world? And if we just take one box that is vitally important box, and that's the gender box, because vast majority of us are either woman or a man. And for those who don't relate to being either, I think they can also ask themselves this question. So if you look at the gender box and what is happening with gender equality in this world, and you can ask yourself, what is it that I want to change with gender equality? What change do I want to see in my world for gender equality? And if you look at that and you start to, you give yourself the space to answer that question, what is it truly that I want to see changed, that I want to see different? And then you can go ahead and ask yourself, well, what is my role? What do I want my role to be in order to create that change? And then you have intention to what it is that you want to do to make that change that you want to see. And I want to say it's very important when I talk about gender equality. For me, gender are both men and women. So I'm talking about equality for both women and men. I'm not just talking about equality for women, which is perception that many people see when we talk about equality. So I think it's important to look at it that way. Mm-hmm. And ask ourselves that big question. And your change, then you can find your steps that you might think, oh, that's just a baby step, but baby steps count.
Yeah, and speaking of the No More Boxes movement, it's actually open for everybody to participate, right?
Oh, yeah. We have a group on Facebook, No More Boxes Movement website, and that is nomoreboxesmovement.com. That's the website. And we have, we're sharing, people are sharing stories about their boxes. We're bringing light to the different boxes that are out there, and due to the fact that we're so used to seeing them, we might not be paying attention to them, but they are in so many cases limiting us.
Oh yeah.
And those could be the gender box, they could be the racial box, the sex box, the work box. There's so many different boxes out there. And in the book that I'm publishing this autumn with Nicholas Haynes from Five Institute in the UK, we are diving deeper into the boxes. We're driving deeper into the drivers behind the boxes. Why are we doing that? And we're also introducing the 3-step methods that it's a framework, a 3-step framework to we say it's to peace, liberation, human liberation, and happiness. Because once you are aware of your box, and if your box is limiting you in any shapes or form, it is, and you become aware of that, that's definitely the first step to change your box and go into another box. Because let's face it, we will always be in boxes. The trick and the question is this box a good, a bad, or an ugly one?
Yeah. And so when can we read this book? When is it coming out? And do you want to give us a little glimpse into those 3 steps, or is it still secret?
Well, I can say they of course, when the whole process, and we go in the book, we go deeply into the process of how does that really look like, and we tell different stories of people going through the process and how they've changed their lives and changed their perspective, and obviously transformed in many cases their lives. The book will be out this autumn 2018. It's planned to be in September. And I would love for your audience to invite them, if they're interested, to be notified, and even getting the opportunity to get a copy for free. Oh. If you go to nomoreboxesmovement.com/the book, you can sign up, and you will be the first to know when the book is out. And all I can say, writing this book and going deeper into this concept of this human behavior of placing people and ourselves into boxes, it's been a transformative journey for myself, as I've come to understand so many boxes that I am in, and I'm placing other people in. And by just being aware of it and making conscious choice of what I'm doing, it's just changed me completely.
Well, yeah. And it's an experience that happens to me too, that when I feel like I am embarking on a project, that actually the journey itself, and often the project is maybe for somebody else, like you would like to share this message, but then suddenly we realize that it actually changes us in quite a bit as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It changes us completely. And that's the purpose. The purpose of this book is to show people how human beings can find, can liberate themselves from limiting boxes and isolating boxes and find peace and happiness.
Yeah. This is very beautiful. And it feels almost like I cannot ask you my next question because it stands so much for itself, but I still would like to ask you, can you please tell us a little bit more about the change makers? Because I think it's important to mention this part of your work. And so who are they and what do they do?
Well, going back to that big question, what is the change that you want to see in your world? I stood in front of that question a year ago, roughly more than a year ago, actually. What is the change that I want to see in this world? Because I felt at that time, I really wanted, I felt that my box was getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I needed to break out of my box and really start to build my courage to do the things that I want to see more of in this world. And that's how I started to think about, I've been working in the personal development and in leadership field with my personal branding programs and coaching and services for so long, and speaking on stages worldwide and all of those things have been fabulous, but I just felt that I was trapped again. One of the things that I really, really desired was to be able to do things in a way that I could involve other people with me. I happen to be so fortunate to know people in the leadership and personal development field, and I like to say the creme de la creme in the field. I'm one of the co-founders of the Network for Transformational Leaders, which is a global organization, a global network with people coming together to have fun, to support each other and learn from each other. And in that group and in my life, I come to know so many fantastic people who have amazing tools and knowledge. And I thought, okay, if I can bring them together, if we can come together with our diverse knowledge and experience, we could be doing something really cool. And that's what I did. I basically handpicked them as I could see who was having different skill sets and different knowledge, and that I could all see that was all needed in the big picture. And together I created the Change Makers a year ago. We are 8 of us together from 6 countries. Apart from me, we have Nicholas Haynes from the UK. We have Monique Bloxhill from Germany. We have Guido Szymanski, who is a beautiful actor and transformational coach. He's from Germany as well. We have Margareta Kull, who is the founder of Kull Leadership in Sweden, which is all about courageous leaders. We have Susanne Frantzen, who is the creator of the Magnetic Leader. She's in Denmark. And we have Leslie Grossman, who is the women leadership expert from the United States. And we have Bjarne Ludvigsdottir, who is Icelandic, but also based in Dubai. And she is a visual director and really brings everything from the words to the visuality of our transformation. And she is the one who is capturing our journey basically our journey with the No More Boxes global awareness movement, turning it into a documentary. Because on this journey, we're on a journey as well. We're experiencing a lot of things as we're going through this, and we want to use that journey and the stories that we find on the way into a documentary that we can then share to schools, so that students can learn, how do you become the change that you want to see in your world.
So if somebody just caught the spark and they want to know more about you, your work, the change makers, the No More Boxes movement, you have also a podcast. What can they do? How can they find you? And in which way can they be in contact with you?
You can find me on the social media under the key Rúna Magnus. Twitter, Rúna Magnus, Instagram, Rúna Magnus, Facebook, Rúna Magnus Official is my official Facebook page. You can also go to runamagnus.com and find everything about me and what the Changemaker are doing. And then the website for the No More Boxes movement is nomoreboxesmovement.com, where we are talking about our movement, the mission. You can find the information about our partners that are supporting us, and you can also take part. I mean, one way of taking part and being part of the movement is to help us on that journey. So there's a small button there to help us to donate if you can spare resources that can help us being the change that we want to see in the world.
Yeah, so for everybody who is watching, we'll have all the necessary links for you right below this interview. So we got you covered. And I think we are at a beautiful place to close this conversation, but I don't want to do it without asking you if there's anything important you think we might have overseen that that now is the space and the place for it, if you like.
You've been such a beautiful host, Nina, and you give such a beautiful space. There's just one last thing that I would like to say to whoever is listening. If you are finding yourself having thoughts about, could I be trapped in a box that I'm not aware of? Could I be not using my skills, my knowledge, what I'm passionate about in a way that can both serve me and others? If those thoughts are coming up in your mind, that's the first step to change. Awareness that there's something more, and there's something more that I can do. And if that is the thing, and you want to know more, then be in touch with Nina, who can help you, or be in touch with me, who can help you, and all the other change makers out there who can help you. I just don't do anything.
Thank you from my heart for sharing this time and space with me. It has been so beautiful to have this conversation with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So, goodbye, everybody, and always remember to take the driver's seat of the car called your life and create this lifetime to your taste. It's my and our pleasure here at MindGourmet to support you with our food for thought.